Good afternoon, fellow Major Incident Managers and operational personnel. I'd like to welcome you all to this podcast, which is my contribution to the MIM Expo. My talk today is aimed at showing the value of employing ex-MIL and how and why they are suited to operational roles in the corporate world. I did a talk with Adam a little while back on a little bit about my career and from military into the corporate space, and he thought that would be a good subject for one of these podcasts. So I thought, okay, let's do it. First of all, a little bit about me. I served a full 22 years in the Army, joining the Royal Signals. Just a brief sort of overview of what the Royal Signals entails. From their website, which I thought was quite apt, so I took it from there. So Royal Signals are leaders in IT, cyber and telecommunications, providing battle-winning communications to every part of the Army. The Royal Signals are trained to become experts in engineering and operating systems, networks and cyber equipment. Quite a highbrow overview of the Royal Signals, but it's definitely absolutely correct. So after doing a full 22 years, I left the Royal Signals in 2013. On leaving the military, I've spent the last 7 or 8 years in the operational space in the corporate world. So I've sort of been through it. So first of all, I was an IT consultant with FDM. They are an excellent IT consultant firm who specialises in getting grads and ex-military personnel into blue chip companies. Great team of people, provide you with the soft landing and support that I needed, certainly on my transition from military to civilian. Their business model was work as a contract consultant with them, be seconded out to a blue chip organisation for 2 years. And at the time, the actual model for the blue chip organisations was they take you on up to 2 years if you want, or you can stay with FDM and do another 2 years with them at another blue chip organisation. Really helped me, provided that soft landing, the pastoral care. Very grateful to FDM. I was fortunate enough to be offered a role with National Grid, via the FDM IT consultant route in the service delivery management space, in the user platform and infrastructure department, managing the end-to-end service of a large network infrastructure, including managing third partners and third-party contract vendors, holding weekly and monthly service management meetings, real good, interesting stuff in the IT space. After 2 years of doing that, I was then offered a permanent role with National Grid, which was great. But I'd already done just over 2 years in that same role, so I wouldn't say I was getting bored, because you don't, but due to the fact in the Royal Signals, at least you move around every couple of years, I started looking around within National Grid. Brilliant place, big firm, and there was a role going for in the IT service management space for the service management centre. So the SMC were looking for major incident managers to come in. They not only brought the major incident management field in-house, function in-house, they brought change, problem. So I went for that role and I got offered it. They just started in-housing from vendors the functions, and it was a fantastic time. I think when I joined, they'd been doing it for about a year. So I joined at a really good time where things were still getting ironed out, still the function was still getting completely identified, but we did some real good stuff there. So, I mean, that was a fantastic journey. By the time I finished in that function, I was leading the team. only for a short period, but I led the team, and it was a pleasure. The SMC was a great place to work. Collaboration between all the service management functions was awesome. Daily meetings and meetings. Nobody likes meetings, but these were really beneficial. There was an outcome from every meeting. You would never leave that meeting saying nothing. You'd always be walking out with a problem manager or a change manager talking about things that had happened over that day or the day before. It was really good collaborative space. Really enjoyed it. I did nearly 5 years with them. I spent 5 years working with them, and then things didn't work out. So I decided to leave National Grid, and I was fortunate enough to be offered a role with JP Morgan Chase, and it was another major incident management role, but in a global incident command center. JP Morgan Chase and Co. is a huge firm spread across the entire globe. Global Incident Command Center was for different lines of businesses to work collaboratively together to reduce business impact for business towers. It was really good. I started off in the global technology infrastructure space there, spent nearly 2 years doing that, getting to grips with the global network infrastructure environment, expanding my knowledge on that. Then another role within the firm came up, and it was just another line of business role, but same job, and I've just recently taken that on. The firm is huge, and like I said, it's massive, but it's full of really high quality technologists and who are just continually trying to find better ways to reduce impacts, streamline, all for the benefit of our key stakeholders, which are our customers. Really focused customer journeys, the focus for everybody, and that's where I am today. Who knows where I'll be next year, what part of the business I'll be in. I'll be supporting next year, but I certainly hope I'm still at JP Morgan. So enough about me. Let's move on to why I believe ex-military personnel are not only adept, but perfect for the operational space. Let's start off with some key attributes that make a good major incident manager or an operations manager. And I'll just provide some comparisons as I go along. So one of the key things for a major incident manager has to understand is stakeholder management. You need to effectively interface with key stakeholders in a high pressure environment, because it is, with the ability to engage individuals across a range of backgrounds and levels of seniority. The military spend a lot of the time trying to make leaders out of soldiers all the way through your military career, from private signal, of which I was, up until I left as a staff sergeant. You do career courses that leadership courses for promotion, etc. But for me personally, for this piece, I had multiple roles where I had to carry out high-level briefs to exec-level managers, and that's including a 3-star general, manage people at all levels, and on operational tours, managing multinational teams, and all of that takes a good amount of everybody's got a different expectation. The multinational personnel, it's different cultures. You have to take all of that into account. And over 22 years, I gained a fair knowledge. I mean, the old adage that it's not what you know, who you know. It does definitely help some major incident management, and the Army gives you that in abundance. Another big one that all major incident managers and operations managers need is good command and control. You need to lead the technical management calls, coordinate multiple technical teams, business teams, from engineer to exec, to drive the resolution of the MI. As previously stated, throughout your military career, you get to lead. I was fortunate to manage people in both peacetime and on operations, but key to my training was as a weapons and tactics instructor. I spent a fair bit of my career training soldiers for operations on ranges, running live fire tactical training, because this is what the military is all about. You can do your trade, but with that, there's also the military element, the command and control element that you do as an addition to your role. And I did a lot of that, and a lot of soldiers throughout periods in their career will have done that, be it leadership courses, be it promotional courses. They learned to do the command and control piece, and they learned to do it quite well. Communication skills was another big piece that you find on a lot of your technical bridges. You need to be able to communicate to a global audience, including executive management. You need to be providing details of the incident, impacts of the business, next steps, root cause, all really good pieces of the major incident puzzle and good pieces of the major incident life cycle. And as alluded to earlier, again, I've had to brief, present to all levels, from peers to exec. In Afghanistan, as the lead watchkeeper, working in the Afghan Mission Network Ops Center, I was providing daily briefs to strategic and operational management of networks, infrastructure, facilities, incidents across the entire of Afghanistan. We were working with NATO at the time. So communication at all levels is really important. And I think soldiers know nothing better than, they can communicate. That's what they are. There's an old saying, shy kid gets no sweets. Well, soldiers tend to be a little bit more confident than most, because that adage and a fair few others that you've probably heard me say rings true with most personnel who've done it even just a couple of years in the army. You can see it. Adaptable to change was another key point that I think major incidents need to be. That the major incident operational space is fast-moving beast, and so it should be. Ex-mil personnel, especially in the Royal Signals, are thrown into roles every 2 years and are expected to adapt very quickly to that environment, hit the ground running, so to speak. Imagine just getting to grips with a role, then you get posted to a new role. Well, most personnel in the military do that. Every couple of years, they move to a different space, they get good at that, and then they move on. Really, adaptable to change is quite a key. Not many, in the corporate world, not many people like change. Change is not good. But I think for the military, we're used to it. We used to have another old adage: get on the bus, get off the bus, and that's because people change their minds often. But you learn to adapt, you learn to live with that, and you learn to just go with the flow. And I think in major incidents, you definitely need that. Used to working outside your comfort zone is another key thing. Most major incidents is about fixing production services that are broken and invariably causing financial, reputational, or operational impact to the business. And it's really highly charged environment to work in. It's highly unlikely service personnel have not been in ops, and on these ops, they're almost always in austere conditions, the desert. In winter, I was in Bosnia on top of a hilltop for 6 months. Nothing just snowed for 6 months. We're used to working, doing our job, and then adding value on top of your job in them conditions, often working 12, 14, 15, 16-hour days. I do know people that have actually in operations have worked longer hours than that. That's why we only do 6 month tours, I think, in the military, in the armies, sorry, because any longer tends to, I think, I know the US do year-long employment. The US Army do year-long deployments, and I have no idea how they do that. My hats go off to them, because for 6 months it's a killer. Essentially, it takes you 6 months when you come back to recover from it. Anyway, that's another story. That's another reason why ex-mil personnel are really good in the operational space, because they're so adaptable to change. Also, the ability to see the bigger picture. One of the issues I've seen in major incident is people get focused on fix. Sometimes they get focused on the nitty gritty, the deep dive. And a lot of the times, major incident managers shouldn't be doing that. That's not their role. Their role is to drive resolution, fix the production service as soon as possible. So they need to see the bigger picture. You need to focus on the bigger picture. The way I look at it is, what's the nearest crocodile to the boat? So what SLA is coming up? What are we going to miss? What is going to cause the biggest impact? This needs fixing. Absolutely agree. But what is the most important thing that needs fixing first? And then you prioritize them. And I think military personnel are very good at that, because throughout our military career, we have to take our commander's intent into consideration. By what I mean that is, even in the corporate world, your boss gets his 30, 60, 90-day strategy off his boss, and then your boss will dilute that down to yourself. So your 30, 60, 90 is the same, but you've got a piece of that your boss's, but you understand what the boss's goal is, the boss's strategy is for this 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Well, that's what happens in the army. You need to understand exactly what the whole aim is. So in order to do your mission, you have to understand what the bigger mission is, and I think that's a key point for major incident managers. There's numerous other qualities that the military bring to the corporate world, and I personally, I work at the moment with several very high quality ex-military personnel from the Air Force, from different arms of the army, and it really is a pleasure to work with them, because they know what's expected and they do it. And I think that's why a lot of managers, senior managers, wherever I've been, have appreciated that. Not only are we talking about the key attributes of ex-military resources, but not only are we talking about, the key attributes of ex-military personnel, but their ability. It's just such a pleasure to see that most personnel who've served a time in the military, the ability to carry out multiple roles, the experience of the military gets better and better the longer personnel serve, and being able to do several different jobs is on operations is often necessary, not something you want to do, but it's there. I just want to list some of the key values that the military hold, and these are real. They align with most of the companies I've worked for now. These align really well with them. So selfless commitment. Soldiers are expected to put the needs of the mission before themselves. Well, that's exactly the same with in the corporate world. The strategy for that 30, 60, 90 days needs to be met. You need to do it. And that's where selfless commitment comes into it. Courage. Most military personnel have this. It's doing and saying the right thing, not necessarily the easy thing. I think you'll find most ex-military personnel are really confident and able to do this. Respect for others. Treat others as you expect to be treated is another huge one. I did 22 years, and I worked with many different personnel in the army, and And one of the key, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you're from, the respect for others is paramount, because you build a brotherhood with these, or sisterhood with these people. And that's where it comes from. Integrity, be honest with yourself and your teammates. That's really quite high on the military ex-mil persons list. Loyalty is a huge one. You support your teammates. That's exactly what it is. Loyalty. You still need that in the corporate world. You need to be loyal. You need to ensure that your teammates are fine, and ask the questions. Are you okay? And things are getting them down. So your respect for others, your loyalty, you support your teammates. They then have the army has also got a load of standards, too numerous to go through. So the really, what I'm going to finish on it is asking the question. You should be asking is, the question you should be asking is, why wouldn't I want to employ an ex-mil person? Not why should I? It should be why are we not employing these people? Like I said, I wanted to do this because I just wanted to highlight my views on why ex-military personnel make very good operational staff. I think I've put a fair few points across. I would like to. There's going to be a slide put up shortly where my LinkedIn address is there. My email address will be on it. There'll be FDM contact them if you want to go into down the consultant route when you leave the military. And also there's a couple of other support steps out there that to me, I didn't have them. That's the thing. I didn't have this when I left the military. I didn't have the support from organisations that look out for soldiers, sailors, and airmen. I didn't really have it. But nowadays there are several guys out there. One of them being the Forces Transition Group. I think John Stevenson leads these guys, this team, and he, over the last, I think 3-6 months, I'm not sure how long they've been going, but over that length of time, I've seen plenty of ex-service personnel ping him to say thanks. My CV got in front of somebody, because that's what it's all about, getting your CV in front of somebody, and then the rest of it, when you get into interview, is down to you to sell yourself. And ex-mil personnel are generally not that bad at selling themselves, but it's getting in the door. So groups like the Force of Transition Group are always a great help. I think that's all I've got for this podcast. Like I said, feel free to give me a bell, ping me on LinkedIn, and I'll answer any of your questions. Thank you.